Hello my dear students, welcome back in the English class. I hope you are preparing well for your examinations. I am Niraula, I am an English teacher as you know. If you don't know me, then you will know from today onwards. Okay, so what have you been doing? I hope, I believe you have been busy preparing for your SEE examinations, all the best. And today in our class, I am planning to talk something about writing. Before I came in the class, I talked to some of you and your friends. I contacted them and they told me, they requested me to talk about writing in the class. Their demand is on writing, so today we'll talk about writing. So, you get ready. Here is a magic number, 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8. I hope you know it. And if you already know it, it's okay. And if you don't know it, think about it for some time, for a few seconds I'll give you. And then you get ready with your pen and the notebook as well. Because it's not one-way traffic, because it's you who is going to take your examinations. It's you who will have to face the examinations. It's you who will have to practice and perform. That's why you are going to talk with me, you are going to write with me, right? So get ready with your pen and notebook and let's start writing. So you know 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 very well. So these four are the full marks of 4 different writing questions, plus 5 plus 5. First 2 5 are guided writing questions. Means there will be 2 guided writing questions, both carry 5 marks each. And the next 2, 6 plus 8, they represent the free writing questions. Free writing questions carry altogether 14, guided carry 10, altogether 24 your writing questions. So today we'll talk about one of them. Okay? So today we'll talk about story writing. Story writing, you know very well. You have written hundreds of stories, I know that. You have practiced a lot in your classes. And today we are going to talk about it. I'm going to share my experience of writing a story or teaching a story in your classes, right? So as you know it, stories are of 2 types. One is guided and the next one is free. So what sort of story writing is called guided story writing? Does anybody have any confusion? I hope not. Because guided story writing has got certain characteristics. And when you write a story, you will have to follow certain norms, certain rules, certain steps. Or when you write a story, you will have to keep in mind certain things. That's why you can, so that you can write a very good story. Okay. So how to write a good story? Although it is not anything universal, okay? When a different teacher comes in front of you, he'll give you, or he or she will give you different ideas, different steps. But there are some basic elements, basic steps, basic things you have to follow when you write a story. Look at the first one. First point when you write a story is read the given outlines carefully. When you are writing a guided story, outlines are given. Okay, guidelines are given, hints are given, clues are given. That means certain points are given, words and phrases are given there, and they are the guidelines. You have to follow the guidelines, you have to follow the outlines when you write the actual story. And when you are writing a story in your examination, I am not talking about practicing story writing at home, I am talking about in examination, in hall. Okay? You are writing the guided story and outlines are given. Read them carefully. Read them twice, sometimes 3 times. Take some time. Don't hurry. Don't panic. And don't start writing without reading the clues, without understanding the clues. That second point, look at. It says, understand the whole plot. Is plot a new word? If plot is a new word, look at the meaning here. Plot means the time. When the story, when we talk about a story, when we write a story, we are talking about a certain time. There is time in the story. And there is place in the story. Sometimes it's a palace, sometimes it's a forest, sometimes it's a marketplace, sometimes it's a playground. Okay, so the place you have to understand. And then characters, very important thing. There are characters in the story, okay. Characters means sometimes there are people, human characters. Sometimes there are non-human characters. We talk about folk tales, okay? Folk tales, moral stories. There are insects as the characters. There are animals as the characters. Animals speak, animals dance, animals, let's say, play. Animals do all sorts of things that humans do. So understand the characters very well. And very, very important thing you have to look at is events, okay? What are the events in the story? Events means what happens first, what happens after that, and how does the story develop, and how does the story end. You have to read these all things very carefully. They are given in the outlines, okay? They are given in the guidelines. You have to find them, you have to notice them, and you have to understand. And then you have to make up a plot in your mind, okay? Plot means the whole story from the beginning to the end. You have to make up a story. Oh, this is the place. These are the people, or these are the characters. And these are the events in the story. These are the happenings in the story. This character is this type of character, and this character has got this role in the story. You have to understand this one very well. And when you understand it, now you are ready to write the story. And when you start writing a story, look at the next point. Avoid the words or phrases whose meaning you don't know. Okay, sometimes you make mistakes. Look at, I have been teaching story writing. I have been examining your answer sheets as well in your examinations. And I have seen that some students try to use all the guidelines, all the hints given there without understanding their meaning. There may be one or two words, one or two phrases whose meaning is difficult to you. If the meaning is difficult, don't use it forcefully, okay? You don't know the meaning, then try to use a different word. Because you understand the story, you understand the development of the events in the story. Then why do you use that difficult word without understanding its meaning, without knowing its meaning? For example, when you find a word, yell, okay, in the story, Y-E-L-L, yell. Oh, what does yell mean? Cry, or smile, or shout? Look at. You don't understand the meaning of yell, and there comes the word yell. What did the character do? Did the character, that particular character, shout it? Or did the character cry? Or did the character smile? So if you write the word without knowing its meaning, then the meaning is twisted. Suppose the meaning of yell, everybody knows, is shout. Okay, the character shouted. For example, the monkey shouted. The monkey yelled. Is there? And if you write that particular word yell without knowing its meaning, then the meaning is twisted. Sometimes it becomes smile. You have to write shouted, and you wrote smiled. You have to write shouted, and you wrote cried or laughed. That is nonsense. That is going to ruin your story, kill the meaning of the story. So you have to be very careful. So avoid the words if you don't know the meaning of that particular word. Okay, got the point or not? So look at the next one. Start with a good beginning. Good beginning. Look at, there is a saying in English, a good beginning is half done. A first impression is last impression. Your examiner is examining your answer sheet, and if your beginning maybe a couple of lines at the beginning, if they are very fantastic, very good, impressive, interesting, then the examiner thinks, oh, this examinee, this student is very fine. So you have to start the story in a very fantastic way, in an interesting way. And you know dozens of ways of beginning a good story. Okay? Once upon a time, one, very commonly used, and it's okay. And once you can use, and many years ago you can use, long ago, next, good beginning. Far in the country there lived a king, or there lived, let's say, an old man, or anything, whoever is the character, because I've already read it. And this is the story of a man who lived ... So these are the ways of beginning the story. Again, this is not mathematical. This is not something a plus 2 plus 2 equals to 4. This is something to help you, something to guide you. And you can use any one of them. And all of them are equal. All of them have equal value. You don't think, oh, once upon a time is a very good one, and once is not a very good one. It is not so. All of them are okay. You can start in any way. And if you know some other, let's say, expressions to start a story, use them, but practice them. That's good. And look at the next one. And very important one, look at, always use past forms of the verbs in the story. That's very important. Story talks about past events, past time, past, let's say, accidents, past incidents. So you have to use the past forms. In some guidelines, the verbs are already in the past tense, already in the past form. You just have to make them good. But in many cases, the verbs are given in present tense. Sometimes verb 1, simple present tense, sometimes verb 5 is used. But you have to convert them, you have to change them into the past form. This is the main point you have to focus on. All the stories are should be written in past form. And many students make the mistakes here. And many of you mix up the tenses. Sometimes some of you start writing the story and write a few sentences in past tense. Again you come back to the present tense. That's wrong. Okay, that's absolutely wrong. Don't mix up the tenses. Use past tense from the beginning till the end. But one thing you have to remember, if you are writing a story, sometimes you use direct dialogues also, direct speeches of the characters, right? In that case, you can use present tense also, you can use future tense also. For example, the girl said, in one of the story, the girl said, I will earn a lot of money. I will earn a lot of money. You are using a direct speech there. You are using a, let's say, dialogue of that particular character. In that case, we have to use inverted commas, the characteristics of direct speech you have to use. Otherwise, you must use past forms of the verbs given there. Okay? And next one, look at, don't forget to supply a title and a moral. Very important. A title, a topic. If you write a story without a topic, without a title, it's not a good story. Understand? If you write a story without topic, then what is this? Is it an essay or a story or later? Nobody knows it. So you must give a title and topic. Okay? And then next one is moral. Most of the stories that you practice in class 10 are folk tales. Folk tales, they have got a moral. Moral means what? They teach us a lesson. So that lesson should be mentioned at the end of the story. We'll see it. Okay, how this is used in our story. And the next one, look at, try to use all the hints. There are certain hints given there. Try to use all the hints given there, all the guidelines given there, because those guidelines make the complete story. If you miss a hint, then you may be missing a part of the story. A part of the story might be missed. And when the part of the story is missed, then the story becomes incomplete, lame, incomplete story. So, I told you earlier, don't try to use difficult words or the words whose meaning you don't know. Just replace them with another word. Or don't leave a gap there, okay? Just complete it and try to use all the hints given there. And the next one is, don't twist the skeleton. Look at, very interesting. Many of you make mistake here. Don't twist the skeleton. Skeleton story, it is called skeleton story. Guidelines are the skeleton of the story. Skeleton of a cat is given there, for example. Just for example, okay. Skeleton of cat is given. And what do some of you do is, you are very smart. You are so smart that you twist, you break the skeleton of the cat and make it a tiger. Because you think that tiger is also a cat. Yes, tiger is also a cat, but there is a huge difference between a cat and a tiger. A tiger is not a cat. A cat is not a tiger. You have to keep in mind. So don't over-exaggerate the things. Don't twist. Don't go out of the boundary. Look at, when your story writing has got a certain boundary, guidelines. Look at. You should not go out of it. You can draw whatever you like inside this boundary. Okay? Whatever you like. Make it. But don't go out of it. Look at. If you break the boundary, then the story is twisted. So you should not twist it. And some of you, sometimes what do is, you twist the, let's say, guidelines of the story, and the skeleton of cat is given and you make it a dog. Look at, the story is gone. Totally meaningless story you write. So be very careful. Am I going out of the skeleton, out of the guidelines? You have to think. Okay? And look at the another point. Add some extra cosmetics. Look at, cosmetics is written under inverted commas. Okay? What is cosmetics in the story? What does cosmetics do? That cream, that powder, that lipstick, these all things, gel, whatever you use as cosmetics, means of beautification. What is their job? Their job is to make somebody look more beautiful. Okay, look more beautiful. So you can make your story look more beautiful by adding cosmetics. Then how to use the cosmetics? Carry some powder and then cream and then these all things in your pocket and just paste it. No, it's not like that. You have to add some interesting details. You can add, without going out of the boundary, that skeleton, you can add some interesting details, extra details, some more points to make it more interesting, to make it more readable, okay, to make it more, let's say, meaningful story. You can add some cosmetics, extra points can be added. And the last point, look at, consider the length of the story. Consider the length of the story. Length comes with marks. Look at, guided story writing carries 5 marks and free story writing carries 6 marks. And for 5 marks answer, how much are you going to write? Look at some of the students, what do? Is they, let's say, spend very little time in passage. They don't even think, they don't even check the synonyms, antonyms and other questions of let's say that reading text, reading part, and they write 2 pages of story. 2-page long story. That is absolutely nonsense because it is of 75 to 100 words. So for 100 words, for 5 marks, just think. Length, very important. Don't make it too short. Some of the students do, like they just combine the outlines, join the outlines and the story is complete. It's not like that. It's not so easy. And some of the students write 2 pages because it's so easy, because their language is very good, very fluent in writing, and they go on writing and writing and writing. That is useless. You are not going to score 7 or 8 marks. The full marks is 5. Okay, so be careful. Consider the length of your story. Right? Now, this is all theoretical. We are going to talk about story writing as a practice. Get ready. Look at sample story it says. You can just note down, write down if you like. Okay, you have got time. Look at guidelines. This is guided one. Hints are here. A king defeated many times. Look at the people. Who are the people? There is a king. Defeated many times. Even this is, okay, means the king was defeated. Means other kings probably defeated him. Okay, nearly captured. You know the meaning of captured? Caught, arrested. Okay, nearly captured. And escapes. Who escaped? Who was nearly captured? The king. And who escaped? The king. Look at here, escapes. Escapes means probably runs away. The king, he was defeated many times and his enemies nearly captured him, nearly arrested him, and to save his life, he ran away. He escaped and hides in a cave. You know the meaning of cave? Some of the students, let's say, suppose you don't know the meaning of cave, I told you, avoid those words whose meaning you don't know. Cave, oh, cave may be a palace because there is king and hides in the cave. So the king probably was hiding in the palace. So imagine, you don't know the meaning of cave and you wrote the king was hiding in the palace. Hides in the cave is given and you are hiding in the palace. So your story is gone. Be very careful. So hides in the cave, runs away and hides in the cave and sees a spider climbing the wall. Look at the second character. With the next character, spider. And who sees the spider? The king. What was the spider doing? Climbing the wall. He was hiding in the cave, maybe in the jungle, and there was the cave had a wall, and there was a spider. Who saw it? The king saw it. And what was the spider doing? Spider was climbing, going up the wall. Okay, and falls several times. Who falls several times? The king. No, his enemies. No, then who? The spider. It was climbing up and it was falling down, going up and down. How many times? Several times. Many times. Okay. And get success at last. Who gets success? Spider. Success at what? Success at climbing the wall. And who saw it? The king. Which king? The king who had run away from the palace to save his life. He saw it. And the king learns the lesson. The king saw all the activities, the struggle and the success of the spider. And the king learns a lesson. Oh, this is something fantastic. This is going to help me. I am going to learn something. It is a, let's say, source of motivation for me. He learned a lesson. Tell me, what lesson did the king learn? from the spider's struggle, spider's success? What lesson did the king learn? Struggle, going up and down, going up and falling down again, and finally getting success at the end. Oh, I am defeated. My enemies defeated me so many times. I have run away from my palace. I am hiding in this cave alone. I am in a very difficult situation. But look at the spider. So I must learn something from the spider, the king thought, and collects courage. Now, earlier he was without courage. He had lost all his energy, all his maybe army, all his power, and then he had run away. Now he collects his courage as a king, and he attacks enemies, and he goes back, and then probably he collects his army. He collects more weapons this time, and he attacks the enemies who had chased him, who had, let's say, dismissed him from the palace, and now succeeds. Succeed is a verb, right? Succeeds means what? The king got success. He succeeded. Succeeded to do what? Success at what? Success at getting his kingdom back. Success at recapturing his palace. And finally, moral is there, means you have to write the moral of the story. Moral means what did you learn from the story, okay? A king, probably very powerful king, very popular king, and the enemies attack him, and he was nearly captured, nearly killed, and then he runs away, and he saw the struggle of the spider, and then finally he got a lesson, and he went back, and he attacked his enemies, and he got success. What lesson do you learn personally? Think, what lesson do you learn? What does the spider's struggle tell us? What moral, what lesson, what encouragement does it give us? Look at. And finally, we have to write it as a moral. Now look at, I have developed those hints into a story. Let's read the story, okay? Spider's lesson. I have told you, you should not forget to give a title to the story. Spider's lesson. And how to write the title, okay? Here comes the question. Give the title, write the title. Easy to say, but very difficult to do it, right? What is the main thing of the story? The king, the spider. You can say the king and the spider. That is also a good title. The spider's success. That's good. Spider's success. Because the story is about the success of the spider. And a very courageous king. The king was defeated. He came back. He fought very bravely, very courageously. And he won his kingdom back. So you can give the courageous king. You can also say the defeated king. And you can also say the reward of courage. You can say the reward of struggle. There are hundreds of meaningful, suitable, equally valuable titles, okay, to this story. And one of them is Spider's lesson. So let's read the story. Okay, so what was our first hint? A king defeated many times. Let's take these first two guidelines given here. A king defeated many times. There is a popular story about a king. I have told you, begin your story in an interesting way. Interesting way. Look at, there is a popular story. Once upon a time there was a king. Okay. There lived a king in a palace. Okay. Once there was a king. Fine. Many years ago there was a popular king. That is also okay. So there are dozens of very good ways of beginning this story, and one of them is this one. There is a popular story about a king who was ruling in his beautiful kingdom. That is cosmetics. Beautiful kingdom is not given in the guidelines. Look at, a king defeated many times given, and we have added here, look at, in his beautiful kingdom. That is the cosmetics of the story. Okay, that makes the story more interesting. But the king had many enemies who wanted to capture his kingdom. Wanted to capture is not given here, but we understand. Why did the enemies attack the king? To capture his kingdom. That automatically is understandable, right? So, who wanted to capture his kingdom? They attacked the kingdom with their united forces. Because the king was very powerful maybe. And a single king, single enemy was not enough to defeat him. That's why their enemies, the king's enemies, united. They combined and they attacked the kingdom with their united forces. The king fought bravely. Did the king surrender immediately? No. This is the cosmetics. It is not given here. Look at fought bravely. Not nowhere. It's not given. But we have added here. Look at the king fought bravely, but lost all the battles. All the battles. New words are also used. Okay. And his enemies attacked his palace. His enemies attacked. Finally, his palace was attacked. And look at, get him, kill him. Who said that? His enemies said that. The enemies who attacked him to kill him, to capture his kingdom, they said, get him, kill him. They were shouting. He heard his enemies shouting. And the frightened king, the king was frightened. Okay, he was scared because he was defeated and his palace was attacked and they were going to kill him. They were going to capture him, right? So the frightened king ran away from the palace. Where did he go? He went to hide in the cave, we know that. And went to hide in a cave outside the capital. Outside the capital, there was a hill, there was a forest. In the forest, there was a cave. And he went there to hide, to save his life. The hopeless king. This is the cosmetics. The king was hopeless. Everything gone. The palace is gone. The kingdom captured by the enemies. Okay. So the hopeless king could think of no way out of this terrible situation. The king was in a terrible situation. And he could not, look at a phrase here. Do you know the meaning of this one? The hopeless king could think of no way out of this, could think of no way out of this terrible situation. Means he could not think of any solution. He didn't know what to do, what he could do. His enemies were ruling his kingdom. He was captured, he was nearly killed, and his army was, let's say, defeated, and he had lost everything. He was hopeless. Okay, and he could not think anything. So, as he was sitting there, not knowing what to do next, his eyes fell upon a spider. What is the king doing in the cave? He was just sitting, doing nothing, right? And his eyes fell upon means what? He saw. Right? In Nepali, what do we say? Usko आँखा पर्न गयो. It means what? His eyes fell upon. Okay? He accidentally saw. उसले म यस्तो देख्छु भनेर हेरे हैन कि he accidentally saw it. Okay? So his eyes fell upon a spider that was trying to climb the cave wall. The cave had a wall and the spider was trying to climb. He saw it. Okay? And he saw that the spider would fall down as soon as it crossed a large part of the wall. What did he see there? The spider, it was trying to climb the wall, and spider would fall down, okay? As soon as it crossed a large part of the wall. The spider would go up a little bit, it would fall down. And go up a bit higher this time, again it would fall down. And again, a large part of the wall was crossed, again the spider would fall down. Several times it went up and then it fell down. Okay, so that is what the king saw it. He had nothing to do, so he just watched and watched and watched. Look at very small things, but very important. Okay, so but it wouldn't give up. The spider would not give up. This is the cosmetics. It is not given here. Okay, it is not given anywhere in the hints. Okay, the spider would not give up. The spider did not surrender, did not lose hope. The spider was not hopeless. The spider did not stop fighting or struggling. It's not given in the hints, but we have to add. Okay, so it would not give up. And finally, the spider succeeded. This is the past tense. Okay, look at all the verbs are in past form. So finally, the spider succeeded at climbing the wall. Okay, so look at here. If the spider can climb this towering wall, towering means what? Very tall, like a tower. Okay, very tall, towering wall. Why not me? Why not me? I also can do something. The spider fell many times, it fell down many times, but it again rose up, and then it again went on its mission, and finally it succeeded. So why not me? I also can do the same. That's what he thought. And said the king to himself. And he learned a lesson. It is given here, okay? Learns a lesson is given. The king learns the lesson is given there. So he learned a lesson. We have used the verb in the past form. Okay? He learned a lesson from the insects. Which insect? Spider. We can use spider also here, but when we say insect, insect is very insignificant, very small in front of human beings, right? So when we say insect instead of spider, that makes the story more interesting. So lesson from the insect. Even the king, even a human being can learn something from the insect. It is what it says. Okay. So lesson from the insect, struggle and success. So then, after learning that lesson from the spider's struggle, what did the king do? The king returned back to the city. Is returned back given in our hints? Look at. Collects courage is given there. Return back is not given there. But we understand, to attack his enemies, he had to return back. Not because he was hiding in the cave. So he returned back. So, returned back to the city, to his kingdom, to his palace, and united his army. How? Only he collects courage and attacks enemies is given there. How did the king get success to defeat the enemies? That is very important. Okay, so you have to add 1 or 2 sentences extra here to make it more meaningful. So united his army was just broken, shattered, okay, by the enemies. So he united them and he collected more weapons, more powerful weapons, because he had to defeat a very powerful enemy, right? So more powerful weapons, and attacked his enemies, and he captured back, okay, he recaptured his kingdom and ruled for many years. Rule for many years. Is it given here? No. Succeeds, only succeeds given here. Look at, succeed is not used in this last sentence. Look at, he recaptured his kingdom is used. Why succeed is not used? Probably the writer of the story is, let's say, confused. Succeed, success. What is this? What is the verb? Is that in past form? Got confused. So if you are confused, don't use that particular word. Use a different word, but don't miss the meaning. That is the point. Okay. So ruled for many years. And look at the moral. Very essential part of the story. Any story that you write, skeleton story, is writing a moral. So what is the moral? Fortune favors the brave. Fortune favors the brave. Is it difficult? Fortune means luck, and favors means supports, and the brave means the person who is brave. So if you are brave, then your luck supports you. And if you are not brave, if you are a coward, then you are gone. If the king was not brave, then he would lose his kingdom. But what did he do? He just collected his courage. He was a brave man. He returned back. He collected his army, collected more weapons, and attacked and won his kingdom back. So this is how you write the story. Okay. So just a minute, boys and girls. Are you feeling bored? No. So just a minute. Okay. You write down some of the key points of your story writing. Okay. Note down. Write in your notebook. What are the main things that you have to remember when you write a story? Write down quickly. What is the first one? Is it a title? Okay, good. You write a title. And you shouldn't miss the moral. And when do you write the title? That is also very important. Do you write the title before you start writing the story? If you are very much sure, it's okay. But sometimes I have seen that some students write the title after they have finished writing the story. When you have finished writing the whole story, you understand what the story is about. The main point, the main thing of the story you understand after you have finished writing it. Then you can write the title, or you can write the better title, or it is upon you. Okay, you can write it at the beginning or at the end. And at the end of the story there is a moral. Do all the stories have moral? Some of the stories may not have, but most of the stories which are asked in your SEE examinations, they have got certain morals. They are folk tales, or they teach us certain lessons or certain morals to us. You have to think, and you can mention it at the end. And how do you write the moral? Just it's given here. Look at moral. You write, maybe you give 1 line gap after you have finished writing the story, and then write moral here, and then give the sign over here, and fortune favors the brave. Now it is in bold letters here. You don't have to write in bold letters, but write differently. What do some of you do is, you write moral over here. That's wrong. You write moral here and write just over here. That's wrong. Okay, you just write it separately. Just 1 line space after you have finished writing the story. Okay, and then you write the moral. Then what is the next thing you have to remember? Read. That's good. Read the hints carefully. Okay, hints carefully. How many times do you have to read? It is up to you. Some students understand, if it's a very common story that we have practiced in the class, one reading is enough. Okay, sometimes you have to read it twice. Some students may have to read it 3 times also. Remember, it carries 5 marks. So you should not write without understanding the story. And you read it second time, third time, when you read, then everything becomes clear. Okay, and you can write in your own words also. So read the hints very carefully. Try to understand all. And very important thing you have to use past tense. Past tense, okay, past form of the verbs given. Okay, use the past forms of the verbs given here. Many students make the mistake here. They use present tense or they use future tense in the stories. And sometimes they mix up. I told you earlier also. They just mix up past tense and present tense. That is wrong. Use past tense all the time. Past tense means what? You can use verb to, or past continuous you can use, or past perfect you can use, or past perfect continuous. All the forms appropriately can be used. Okay? Past tense. Then, what is the next one? Avoid using the words. Avoid the words. That means hints whose meaning you don't know. Whose meaning you don't know. It's also very important because it is going to kill the beauty of your story. You don't know. Okay. Avoid using the words whose meaning you don't know. If you don't know the meaning, don't use it forcefully. That is very important. And what is next? Just recap. Remember? Add cosmetics. Okay. Add cosmetics. Add some details. Okay. Add some details. Some extra details, extra points, to make it more interesting, to make it more meaningful. Sometimes only the guidelines may not be enough. Only the guidelines may not make the complete story. Some words, some hints, some parts are deliberately, knowingly left out for you, and you have to complete it. Make it a readable story by adding those things. Okay, very important. And the next one, what's the next one? Title you have written, moral is there, read the hints carefully, you have read, understood it, and use past form of the verbs, that's very good. And avoid the words whose meaning you don't know, don't use them. And add cosmetics, means add some details. And very important thing for you have to remember, keep in mind, is don't break the skeleton, okay? Break the skeleton. Don't break the skeleton. Skeleton of a cat, again the same example. Skeleton of cat is given there, and then you are making it a dog. Look at, your story is gone. Skeleton of cat is given there, and you are making it a tiger. Because you think that tiger is also a cat. No, it's not. That is totally different. So be very careful. Don't break the skeleton. Just use cosmetics inside it. Just make it more beautiful. Add color and add the features of the cat. Okay, not the features of the dog and features of the tiger. That's what you have to be very careful when you write a story. So this is how we write a story in the guided form or guided story. Now, okay, boys and girls, story writing is easy, but it is not so easy as you think, because in your let's say examinations, some stories are asked in a different way. Okay, different way means how? Free story writing. Free story writing. What do you understand by free? Free writing. Free writing. There are 2 questions. Free writing questions. One of them may be a story. There are some other options, other choices also, like story writing is there, news writing is there, dialogue writing is there, recipe writing is there. There are other items also, rules and regulations. These are various let's say items which can be asked. And one of them is story writing. And the first free writing question carries 6 marks. So today we are going to talk about free story writing as well, which is a little bit more difficult. A little bit more difficult because this is free. That's why reward is a bit higher. For guided writing, only 5 marks. For free story writing, there is 6 marks. So why this is difficult and how we can write a story, free story. That's what we are going to see. Okay, so this time when you write a free story, look at no hints are given. Hints are not given. Okay, hints are not given there. You just have to write yourself. Got the point or not? In guided writing, guidelines are given, hints are given. You just use them, just connect them, and the story becomes all complete. But here, hints are not given. Then what is given? Only the title is given. Okay? Only the title is given. Write a story whose title is The Thirsty Crow. Thirsty Crow. Do you know the story of the Thirsty Crow? Of course, why not? So, only the title is given. Now you have to write. Nothing is given, only the title. And you have to develop the story yourself. Okay? Sometimes moral is given there. Right? For example, this is the title and the moral. For example, unity is strength. Unity is strength. Unity is strength. Only the moral is given here. Beginning is not given, title is not given, hints are not given, nothing is given. Only the moral is given. Write a story whose moral is unity is strength, unity is power. Now you have to think of the characters, you have to think of the time, you have to think of the events, everything yourself. Other guidelines are saying use past tense, use the characters. This is okay, but you have to remember whole, you have to make up the whole story yourself. And there are many stories available whose moral is unity is strength. And you can pick up one of them or you can make it yourself. You can make it. Now, skeleton is not given there. Okay, very useful pet is given. Useful pet, you can write about a cat, you can write about a dog, you can write about any other useful pets. You are free. Okay, but it should be the useful pet. Just like that, the moral of the story, the lesson of the story should be unity is strength. You can write any story you like. Okay, and only the title is given, moral is given, or the beginning sentence or ending sentences are provided. Beginning sentence is given. Title is not given, moral is not given, first sentence of the story is given. Once upon a time there lived an old man. Full stop. Now it's your job. Continue. Once upon a time there lived an old man. Who was the old man? Did he have any family members or not? What are the special characteristics of the old man? What happened in the life of the old man? What is remarkable? What is interesting? What is notable about the old man? How did the old man live? Did the old man die? Did the old man fall sick? What happened in his life? So these all things you have to be. And there is one danger. Look at boys and girls. Very frankly, the point is that some of the students leave the story in the middle of the events. The story is not complete. Okay? The old man fell sick is given there. What happened after that? Did the old man die or did the old man recover? Nothing is written there. So your story is not complete story. Make it complete, okay, from the beginning till the end. Satisfaction should be there. So unity is strength. This is how moral is given, and the beginning sentence or the ending sentence is given there. For example, and I never saw her again is the ending line of the story. Write a story, readable short story, whose ending sentence is I never saw her again. I never saw her again. Oh, who is that her? One female character you have to think. How did that female character come into your life? And how did you develop your friendship, or what was your relationship with that particular woman? And what did she do? And where did she go? I never saw her again is the ending line of your story. So this is how this question is asked. Okay. Next one, look at. You are free to develop your own story based on the requirements of the question. Requirement means title, moral, beginning, ending is given, and all the requirements are there of the story. And you are free now. And you must follow all the other norms of the story writing. Other norms, other criteria, other steps, other tips of story writing must be followed. The same as we discussed earlier. Okay. Now, here is a sample story for you. Sample story. Sample story is not the title of the story. Okay. How to write a story. Question is also there. Write a short, readable story. Short, readable story. I mean, complete story. Whose moral is given. Look at tit for tat. You know the meaning of tit for tat, not? You have read hundreds of stories whose moral is tit for tat. Just like something like that. Now you have to think of, there must be at least two characters. One should be ungrateful, one should be naughty, bad, and the next one should be revengeful. And that naughty character does something bad to the next character, and that next character takes some revenge, does something so that the naughty person is suffered at the end. That is what you have to think. Okay, so tit for tat is the moral of the story. And now you have to write. Now you have to think. Look at one story here: the camel and the jackal. Nothing is given to us, only moral is given. The camel and the jackal. You know the story of the camel and the jackal? Don't you? So there are many other dozens of stories whose moral is tit for tat. One of them is the camel and the jackal. Long, long ago, there lived many animals in a forest nearby a village. A lot of points are gathered together, okay? Long, long ago, once upon a time, a long time ago, many, many years ago, any way you can start, okay? There lived, look at the verb, very important. There lived many animals in a forest nearby a village also, look at. Place is there. Where? Forest nearby a village. Who are the characters? Many animals. When? Time? Long, long ago. Everything is there. Time is there. Place is there. Forest and village. And the characters, animals. Among them were a camel and a jackal. Among those animals, there were a camel and a jackal also living in the same forest. Once there was scarcity of food. Scarcity? Lack. Okay, lack of shortage, that is scarcity of food for the animals. Let's go to graze in the sugarcane field across the river, proposed the kind-hearted camel. What sort of camel? What are the characteristics of camel? Kind-hearted. The camel was kind-hearted, and he proposed, he said to whom? The jackal. What did he say? Let's go to graze in the sugarcane field across the river. Look at past tense is not used here, but this is the direct speech spoken by this character, kind-hearted camel. So it is written under inverted commas. This is how you can use present tense and future tense also. Okay, here what the speaker says in the direct speech can be used like this. You can use it. No need to use past tense here. Okay, so this is the dialogue of the speaker or this character. So then the two friends means who? The camel and the jackal set out. Set out means what? Started their journey. Started going, or they went for the field. Which field? Sugarcane field. Okay. The camel carried the jackal on its back as they crossed the river. There was a big river because across the river is there. Sugarcane field, across the river. Across the river means what? They had to cross. Kholako paripati, right? Across the river. That's why the camel carried the jackal. Jackal could not swim. No need to write. It is understood. Okay. The camel carried the jackal on its back as they crossed the river. They started grazing on the tasty sugarcane plants. The sugarcane plants were very tasty naturally, and they were grazing there. The jackal filled its stomach first. Jackal चाहिँ पहिला अगायो. How do you say? Simple language you can use. You don't have to think. अगायो like के भन्छ होला. You don't have to waste time. Just fill its stomach first. Simple language you can use. And started to howl. Howl means what? Cry or shout. The typical word to mention to the jackal's cry is howl. Okay, howling of the jackal we say. So it started to howl. Karauna thale means to play trick on the camel. So this jackal was very naughty because tit for tat is there, right? So it was very naughty and he wanted to play trick on the camel and he started to howl. The camel requested him not to howl. The camel requested, please don't howl. But the naughty jackal said, it's my habit to howl after I have a nice meal. What did the jackal reply to the camel? It's my habit to howl after I have a nice meal. I always howl like this after I have eaten my meal. So the villagers arrived there in no time. Okay, boys and girls, now what happened next in this story? The villagers arrived there in no time. In no time means immediately. When they heard the howling of the jackal, the villagers came there running. Then what happened after that? What did the villagers do to the camel or the jackal? Okay, now here is something you have to think. I have deliberately written out a couple of sentences here. The villagers came and they beat the camel. The jackal ran away because the jackal could run faster than the camel probably. The jackal ran away and it went away from the villagers, but the villagers beat the camel. And as they were crossing the river back, the camel thought of teaching the ungrateful jackal a good lesson. The camel wanted to teach a lesson to the villagers wanted to teach a lesson to camel. The camel wanted to teach a lesson to the jackal. And as soon as he reached the middle of the deep river with the jackal on his back, he started to roll in the water. Who started to roll? The camel. Okay. The frightened jackal pleaded him, means requested him not to do so. But the camel replied, I always take a bath after having a nice meal. The silly jackal was drowned to death. What was the reply of the camel? I always roll in the water. I always take a bath in the river after I have eaten my meal. And what happened to the jackal, which was on the back of the camel? It was drowned and it died. So, and what is the moral? Already given in the question, tit for tat. Okay, boys and girls, like this you can write stories in a interesting way. But one thing you have to remember, there are three things you need to write a good story. First one is practice. Second one, more practice. And third one, practice again. Only then you can be a good story writer. Thank you. See you in the next class.